down. There we go, Tim. Get that field goal down.
Let's go!
A trip to the SEC Championship. There's a lot on the line here in Week 10. Welcome into the College Football Show, presented by AT&T 5G. Alongside Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I'm Sam Ravech. It's hard to believe, guys, we're already into the double-digit weeks. We're into Week 10, and, I mean, what a chaotic and awesome Week 10 it has been so far, especially in that noon window, right? We had the Ole Miss, A&M, Rebs hold on to win there. Of course, the Kansas State and Texas game went to overtime. That was dynamite as well. And
great game.
Ohio State able to hang on in Piscataway earlier today with a win after trailing at halftime, Scoob. But I want to go back to this Kansas State-Texas game because this one had some huge playoff implications, and it really lived up to the billing.
Yeah, this game was everything that you wanted it to be. So why not waste no more time? Let's get into the highlight. Kansas State taking on Texas. Malik Murphy still started for the Longhorns with Quinn Ewers recovering from that AC joint injury. And in the first, Murphy drops change all over the floor because that's a dime. Hits A.D. Mitchell for the 47-yard touchdown. Listen, the connection between these two
special.
It was special.
Yeah.
It got going real early in this one. 8 catches, 149 yards, and a TD for Mitchell. Second quarter, Texas up 10-0. We call this the step brotherly love because they run the option fake on it, and C.J. Baxter takes it to the house, 54 yards.
He had a
great play call. Great play. I love Sarkisian taking a risk there on 4th and 1. Really creative play call there to get the touchdown.
Yeah, K-State down 17, and Will Howard finds Phillip Brooks, one of his 2 scores on the day. They're down 10 now. Fourth quarter, they're down 6. Howard, after a fumble from Texas, hits J.T. Brown on the next play on a rope. 32-yard touchdown. They would miss a 2-point conversion. We're tied. They hit the field goal now with 1 second left, and we go into overtime. The kicker had missed the field goal earlier, and that was redemption. Texas would kick a field goal.
They're going for it.
K-State's last chance here on 4th down, and it just falls apart. I don't know if there was a banana on the floor or it was the turf monster, whatever you want to call it. Texas wins it in OT, 33-30, and nobody was happier than Matthew McConaughey here, hugging everybody else on the field. Malik Murphy, good start in the beginning of this game, Matt, but then things kind of slowed down for him towards the end.
Yeah, and this is a Kansas State defense that's actually really performed extremely well the entire season. Malik Murphy, to start the football game, man, you thought that they were just going to roll right through this defense. And as the game went on, Texas, they lost a few opportunities. Malik Murphy, obviously with the lack of experience this season, showed that on some occasions. But overall, I think the performance was there for him. He's getting better with each game that he's played in this season. Sarkisian seems to be calling the offense a little bit differently with him as quarterback now, which is good. I like the more aggressive downfield passing that we saw from Texas today. So all signs lead to Malik Murphy continuing to trend in the right direction for Texas in this offense. And with C.J. Baxter, Jonathan Brooks, and that defense, this team can win a lot of games versus a lot of teams.
I still have some questions about Texas in the red zone. I mean, they've been one of the worst red zone teams in the country this year as far as scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is wild, considering all of the weapons they have. But they've been a big play offense for the most part. I mean, they have kind of lived and died by the big play, whether it be kind of the reverses or the downfield throws. They have kind of lived and died by the big play. Malik Murphy looked, like you said, Matt, excellent in the first half, not so great in the second, and allowed Will Howard to come back into this game. But
here's an easy one for Steve Sarkisian. Don't worry about the red zone offense. Score from outside the red zone. How about that? So be more aggressive throwing it outside the red zone and take your pressure off your quarterback and the rest of the team.
Exactly. We have a score that just went final, by the way. We know you guys are watching in Bedlam. Oklahoma State sends Oklahoma to the SEC with a loss. How about that? I mean, that's exactly what they wanted to do, and they did it. But let's see how it all happened. Early first quarter, Oklahoma State at the 20. Alan Bowman who was playing in his 6th year of college football, hands it off to Ollie Gordon, and what a revelation he has been, Scoob. I mean, he's been tremendous.
Doing things that Barry Sanders hasn't even done, and we know how much of a legend he is.
Next drive for Oklahoma, it's Gavin Sawchuk getting the handoff, and he gets a gap. He sees it gone, 64 yards for the touchdown. Oklahoma ties it back up 7-7. Remember, Oklahoma coming off the loss to Kansas last week. They trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Second quarter now, Oklahoma State in the red zone. Alan Bowman going to keep it and run it for the score here.
Get in there!
He's sneaky with the legs, sneaky with the legs.
Yeah, this was a real back-and-forth game early on, and you just love that the quarterback went out to go and get it, right, man?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's really improved. As Ollie Gordon has done better on the ground, so has Alan Bowman improved throughout the season.
So later here in the second, they are able to get a touchdown and come right back. So third quarter we go. Gabriel handing it off to Tawi Walker, and he takes care of the rest.
Oh, so much speed.
23 yards for the touchdown. Sooners jump back up 20-17. So fourth quarter we go now. Ollie Gordon, he's been so good in games, but it's really been the second half of games where he just wears down the defense. 6 scores for the touchdown there.
220 pounds.
Silly.
That is not a man you want to tackle.
Next drive for the Sooners here. They fumble the snap. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
And then there's that guy.
Ali. He had it on his chest because he knows.
And then the final, 27-24. Oklahoma State wins it. Now, Oklahoma State has had a history of doing this in big moments. They also, in the last year of the Big 8, they beat Oklahoma. The last time that Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma, Caleb Williams was the quarterback. It was Lincoln Riley's last year.
Yeah.
And now again, in a big moment, Oklahoma State sending Oklahoma to the SEC with a loss. Here's a look at the final play of the game. Gabriel rolling out, can't connect, Stoops. Shy of the first.
I mean, you gotta work towards the chains, right? I mean, it kind of looked like he cut it short there.
I know.
I want to hear what you think about that. I think he got it one the route a little bit deeper.
I know what you mean. In this situation, it's a basic play that every football team across the country runs. It's called sprint right option for all you West Coast people out there. But basically what you're doing is that first outside receiver is trying to set a pick for Stoops underneath. The corner was off about 10 yards. Really what it was, the corner did a great job of driving on the football and making a play as Stoops was making the catch. So phenomenal defensive play and really maybe too predictable of a play call for Oklahoma to rely on in that crucial situation.
So Ollie Gordon, 33 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game. We mentioned as well what he has done leading up to this game with 2 games north of 270 yards rushing, something that Barry Sanders did. And, you know, when you think about it, obviously, this changes the entire dynamic of the Big 12. I mean, Oklahoma's playoff chances are done.
They're absolutely done. And I don't know if this helps Texas in the long run, too, with them losing to an Oklahoma State team who's getting better. But does the playoff committee value now their strength of schedule going forward, or are they going to continue to hang on the victory against Alabama for as long as they possibly can, which tonight will be extremely important for Alabama to perform well for them?
Yeah, I'm not. Texas, it just doesn't look better for you. Oklahoma continues to lose games that you would expect them to come out with the win. But Mike Gundy, just a shout out to him because I know that he's been talking about this game ever since Oklahoma announced that they were going to the SEC. And I know the Big 12 commissioner is really happy about this win. And Mike Gundy also gets his 100th win in the Big 12.
Congratulations,
congratulations
Mike.
to him.
One of the better coaches, too, and obviously very not shy about what he's going to tell you.
Early on in the season, people, I mean, they weren't looking good.
No, they weren't,
They've turned things around, kind of found their identity behind Ollie Gordon, and the way that they've been able to just kind of get on this streak and this win right here, I mean, solidifies it. Ollie Gordon has been one of the best players in the entire country the last 3 weeks. I mean, 200-yard games back-to-back, and then you come out today, over 30 carries, 130 yards rushing. Which running back is better than him right now in the country the last 3 weeks?
He only had 19 carries in the first 3 weeks. I mean, like, what? how do you see this guy, and I'm sure he was playing well in practice, and be like, yeah, let's give him 19 carries for the first 3 games?
That's where practice can be misleading sometimes because you're not tackling your teammates, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden you get him out there on the field, and you're like, wow, nobody can tackle this guy.
Right.
Let's just give him the ball more. And you see his physical presence. He's a guy, like you said earlier, Sam, that his presence is made more known to the defense in that third quarter late in the football game because he's not a game breaker that's super fast, right? But he is a guy that cuts really well. He reads his blocks extremely well. And then, of course, his size and ability to just run over people is the difference, and that's why he's so effective late in games.
6 straight games with over 120 yards rushing.
Yeah. And he's a good pass catcher, too, out of the backfield, and that's something that Alan Bowman has really benefited from, too.
Yeah. A lot of backs had some great games. Over 30 carries for Ollie Gordon today, but there is another back who had over 30 carries, and that was in the Clemson versus Notre Dame game. So let's go ahead and get to that. Clemson hosting 15th ranked Notre Dame. We start the first quarter. Clemson is going to be down 3, and the player that I said that went off with over 30 carries was Phil Maffa. He was on a mission like J-Rock. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way now. He wins 186 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns and 36 carries. That's a program record. Second quarter, Clemson up 10-6. Cade Klubnik finds Tyler Brown from 9 yards out, and he says, get off of me too. Tigers go up 17-6. We go to the third quarter. Notre Dame down 15. This is another good back, Audric Estime. From 2 yards out, he punches it in. 87 yards rushing on the day. Kind of funny because he started off the first quarter on a heater. Third quarter, same score, Phil. You know you're not going to Maffa, stop him. That put the Tigers up 31-16. They end up winning this 31-24. Huge win for Clemson as they get the dub. I think one thing to think about this is, hey, if you're Florida State, you're saying to yourself, good job, Clemson.
Thank you.
Keep on winning. This is what we want because Texas, you saw Oklahoma go down. You're like, come on, bro, help us out a little bit.
Right.
Florida State, you're saying, Clemson, appreciate y'all for helping us out a little bit. So, great win for them, but Notre Dame, I'm surprised, man, the way that they're playing.
Are you really, though? Are you really?
After their
win, I've been a little bit of a hater lately the past few weeks.
They were 50. What did they win? 50-something to 6 against Pitt last week.
Yeah,
you look good, and then Florida State struggled with Pitt. So for Notre Dame, Sam Hartman, a turnover here in such a key moment of the game. It's hard to play in Death Valley. And
that dude played awesome.
Clemson's defense is the real deal. I mean, that hasn't been
They played well.
Yeah.
They absolutely did. And Jeremiah Trotter was all over the field today, and playing in space really well, attacking the line of scrimmage. That's what kind of slowed down this Audric Estime running game that was really well established early on. But for Notre Dame, I'm a little disappointed defensively that Clemson was so one-dimensional and yet still had the ability to run the ball at will when they needed to.
Right.
And Sam Hartman in this passing offense just really has been underwhelming the past few weeks, and it really is not even a threat to being aggressive and making plays down the field, and that really has allowed defenses to hone in on the trenches and stop Audric Estime in this run.
You look at this game at the start of the season, right, and this is a circled game.
Yeah.
I mean, right, and it wasn't there for Clemson at the start of the season, and losing back-to-back games, I think, for the first time since, 2011, coming into this one. What do we make of Clemson now? Obviously, they didn't use the transfer portal, and they're getting hammered for that. But you get Tyler from Spartanburg calling Dabo up, right?
Tyler from Spartanburg.
He gets the game ball. I know that.
I mean, what is Clemson this year? And how do I don't know? Is Clemson kind of defined in this role now where they're just going to stick to their guns and they're not going to go to the portal, or like is adjustment going to have to be made?
We're going to find out. This offseason will tell us how Dabo Swinney really feels about the portal. And really, Clemson's in a weird area right now because they're a school that's really done a great job of recruiting extremely well in the past few years and getting a lot of really good football players. But now with the transfer portal and NIL, you're competing against so many other schools that are unfortunately for Clemson just way more powerful than you are.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think Dabo Swinney has to really understand the environment in which he is in and which his team is in, is that you're not going to be able to pay more than some of these other schools because you're really just not quite as sexy as some of these other schools. So you really have to kind of reevaluate who you are. And then also, too, just a lot of the transitions he's had in the coaching world, he hasn't had that group together for very long, and those things take time to build.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson did go in the portal this offseason. But on the coaching side, they got Garrett Riley.
That's right.
That was their best get from the transfer portal, and they thought that would work out to be something. But quite frankly, the offense is what has struggled. Cade Klubnik, barely over 100 yards. I think he had under 110 yards passing today. That passing attack has been abysmal the entire season.
Was it DJ? Was it DJ?
Right,
now,
that's a question.
We got the quarterback that we wanted. We tell DJ to leave. Yet we're still seeing the same issues here with the offense and their passing attack. And let's face it, too. They're just not as talented as some of the other receiving corps that we've seen in the ACC, especially Florida State.
Yeah. And in the chat, just so all y'all know that's watching on YouTube, we're taking a look at the chat. I got it up right on my laptop. Somebody has their feelings about Ole Miss. Old Miss. They call Ole Miss. So we're about to show you some Ole Miss highlights.
Let's head down to the SEC. Big game in Oxford there. Number 10, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin poking some jabs at Jimbo Fisher earlier on in the week. Ole Miss jumped all over A&M early in this one. It was 14-0, and then look out, blocked field goal, and it's Jacoby Matthews taking it all the way back. 75-yard touchdowns. Aggies cut the deficit in half.
Huge play.
10-point swing over there.
Next drive, though, Rebels marching. Jackson Dart finding Jordan Watkins, who goes 29 yards to the end zone, and Ole Miss extends the lead now 20-7. Third quarter, Ole Miss up 20-14, and Aggies a chance to take the lead, but it's intercepted. Red zone interceptions. This was kind of a turning point in the game here when Max Johnson was down there, and they just couldn't finish it off. And then just over a minute later, the Rebs able to score in the end zone, and it's Quinshawn Judkins, the 6-yard carry. He did bring out the thriller, but they're not done either. Ole Miss going for 2 here. Jackson Dart to Trey Harris.
I mean, at this point, I thought they were going to roll. But all of a sudden, here comes the Aggies.
There he is, the man himself, fired up, Lane Kiffin. 2.5 left to go in the third. This may be the catch of the year. Trey Harris. This is unreal.
And this was really kind of the biggest thing for Ole Miss throughout the day. Jackson Dart at one time was 5 for 5 of throws, 20-plus yards down the field. That downfield throwing was the difference for Ole Miss in their offense.
Aggies trying the tush push there on the 1-yard line. How about we just jump over everybody, Max Johnson?
Where is everybody? Why was that so easy?
Like we're playing leapfrog here. Ole Miss down by 4. Game seemingly on the line. Quinshawn Judkins, his second touchdown, or excuse me, his third of the day. And the Rebels reclaim the lead. Aggies bring out the kicker. Somebody got a fingertip to it. I am convinced.
It looked like it.
Yeah. It was tipped at the line. It was.
Right. So the Rebels hang on to win this one. Final score, 38-35. Texas A&M's road streak extends to 9, which is just astonishing. But Max Johnson, 305. You see Quinshawn Judkins, who's been stellar, was great last year. Got off to a slow start. Jackson Dart, 387 yards. This is a dangerous offense for Ole Miss, who is going to Athens next week.
As we know.
And Georgia able to kind of stave off Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz today. 30-21, the final score down there in Athens, Georgia. Carson Beck was good. 21 for 32, 254 yards.
He was very good today. I was very impressed with how he played. He made a lot of really big-time throws, a lot of NFL caliber type of throws that were really impressive. And what's crazy is that this offense, since Brock Bowers has gotten hurt, I hate to say this.
It's gotten better.
It's gotten better. It looks better. It looks more balanced.
Why though?
You know what? Stress.
Really?
That's what it'll do. It's like, hey, our best player got hurt. What do you want to do? Let's meet in the meeting room and we'll talk about it for like 20 hours, all right, and figure it out. That's really what happens, and it happens all the time at any level of football. You lose one of your great players, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this is easy. We'll just throw him the ball. We'll just give him the ball. Well, you lose him, and now all you do is you sit around and you come up with new ways to get other people the football.
Absolutely. Use what you have and the players around.
So stress.
And I will say the defense stepped up. They had been one of the worst defenses in the SEC when it comes down to getting after the quarterback. And the last 2 weeks, Georgia has stepped it up. 3 sacks on Brady Cook today. And on top of that, he threw 2 interceptions. Brady Cook hasn't done that since 2018.
Yeah.
So to be able to force him to turn the ball over multiple times was huge.
It was the difference in the game. And that's what we want to see from Georgia. And this is where we've been doubting them for a long time. And now it's time for us to maybe stop doubting them because this team looks like a real threat and a real contender.
Well, okay, so there's a lot on the line in the SEC so far.
Sam didn't like that.
Well, the shaping of the conference was starting to come into play. Alabama has a chance to wrap up the SEC West with a win. They hold their destiny in their hands. Georgia, after the win today, they have a 94% chance of going on to win the SEC East. So I think we can probably say that Georgia will have the East, but it all kind of hinges on that game tonight, Alabama and LSU. If Alabama loses this game, things could get really, really interesting. But when you look at this, kind of big picture here, what kind of comes to mind?
Well, it's crazy because you're right. If LSU beats Alabama tonight, right, and we have 2 teams in the SEC that have 2 losses, right, and they beat whoever the winner of the East is.
Yep.
I still expect one of them to be in the college football playoff.
I agree with you.
And potentially both of them. Yeah, possibly.
You're thinking possibly 2
For sure, because it depends on the Pac-12. If the Pac-12 completely just annihilates itself and it becomes ugly, I really don't believe anyone in the Big 12 is that special compared to some of the others.
Oh, my Lord.
Is that crazy?
I don't know about 2 SEC teams.
I'm just saying it's possible. It is possible.
Well, the madness. Right. I'm all about the madness that can come along.
Whoever wins the SEC, they're going. It doesn't matter because the committee is going to value them way higher as far as just the division and conference they play in.
One scenario that I brought up, which I talked to Sam about, is what if Georgia loses in the SEC championship and then Oregon goes on to win the Pac-12 championship? Which of the 2 you going with?
What do you mean? Which 2 am I going with?
Yeah, Oregon or Georgia?
Oh, they're both going. No, I'm kidding. If Georgia loses, Oregon's going to go. They're going to get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like, how does Georgia lose, I think is important.
As good as Georgia has looked, they still have a couple of big ones coming up. They got Ole Miss coming to town next week. Then they got a trip to Neyland Stadium before finishing the season at home against a very sneaky good Georgia Tech team earlier today.
I said that just to annoy the chat.
Okay,
too.
good.
Okay.
All right, let's go into the film room with our good friend Matt Sims. And Matty, back up at the touchscreen. We're going to break down a couple of plays from the Texas-Kansas State game. It lived up to the hype, guys. It wasn't the prettiest game for quarterback Malik Murphy, but they were able to get it done. We'll talk a little bit more about that. What was pretty was his connection with A.D. Mitchell today. That was pretty good.
It was pretty good. And also, too, what is up with this graphic, guys? Skubie gets a whole short film, and I got a decaying football. I mean, come on, man. But let's get into the film, okay? I'm not going to complain. All right.
You just did.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. I'm doing what Dabo Sweeney does. I'm making excuses for no reason. All right, so here we go. First play of this game right here. We got Mr. Murphy, second start of his career for Texas, and what we're going to do is we're going to allow him to take advantage of what he does well. Throw the football down the field, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try to set a little screenplay here, but really all we're doing is we're trying to set up a one-on-one matchup. So we're going to get A.D. Mitchell over here on a little post and go. We're going to set a pick down here for the tight end, and it's going to be real easy. That post and go, or that in-cut and go, for that tight end in the flat right here. Great protection, 6-man protection, got all day to throw it, and you're going to see here in this back end zone clip of this how Mitchell gets wide open. So right here in this situation, he's attacking that outside shoulder. Look how the defender has that inside leverage. So what does he do? He's going to start to attack the top part of his shoulder, give a little stutter, and then go right past him using his speed and athleticism, and then Mitchell with the unbelievable throw over the top, drop it in the bucket. So fantastic start for the Texas Longhorns.
He threw that ball before he even broke out of that route almost.
Oh, he did. Absolute great anticipation early in the game. Struggled midway through this game, but you see the ability that he has to spread the football around the field.
A sprinkle of Jalen Milroe in there as well. But let's go ahead and keep moving.
Little shade there, little shade.
Second quarter, we got 4th down, and it's a tush push, right?
All right, it's a tush push, and we're letting the Kansas State defense know we are trying to run a quarterback sneak here. We're making no bones about it. We're making it so obvious that it's not. It's so covert, it's overt.
Nice.
All right?
Very nice.
Now, in this, yeah, you like that?
I like that.
I know. I don't know where that came from. All right, so here, we're going to think about QB sneak, right? Just push your way through, right? But what is the Kansas State defense going to do? They're going to try to pinch inside as much as they can to collapse that interior part of the pocket, right? Now, Mitchell's going to take that football, take a step back, and then do an option pitch here to C.J. Baxter in a one-on-one situation. You're going to get a block down, and then you're going to get lead blockers here by the Texas Longhorns receiving corps. And here what you're going to see is this. Right? As soon as the snap goes, see all this communication? Look at it. They're like, hey, I got this guy. That's good. We want over communication. Here starts the play. You're going to get 2 blockers for these 2. We're going to make the Kansas State defenders overrun to the outside and create that lane for CJ to cut and get up the field and then use his unbelievable speed. And this is a freshman right here, man. So this guy's going to be around for a while. But right here in this situation, we got a 2-on-3. He is going to hit him in the shoulder, push him wide, and then work to the next level. This gentleman right here already has inside leverage on that defender there, so he's just going to wall him off to the sideline. And then you have CJ, man, one-on-one with a guy in space like that. Your running back should win almost every one of those matchups, right? And he takes off and goes in for the touchdown. Has a little conversation with his boy Mitchell there halfway through, and it's an awesome play for Texas. Great call.
How many times have we seen different variations now of the tush push? Because everyone thinks it's coming, right? And then you can pull it, and there's nobody deep. I mean, you can break a tackle and you're into the end zone.
No doubt, and that's what you want. You want to get just the football into your playmakers with space as much as you can, and that's how the development plays go. You develop one play, and then defenses, especially in practice, they try to figure ways to stop it, and then you just start to create more and more stuff out of it, and that was a great job of executing something that I'm sure, looks good in practice, but to actually execute it and call it in a game situation, really impressive.
Texas pretty much did everything they could to hand this game over to Kansas State. There were a ton of mistakes in this game as well. But when you think about what Will Howard was able to do in this game, 4 touchdowns, I mean, he took advantage of the opportunities that were given to him.
Yeah, he started slow in this game, but man, Will Howard absolutely played phenomenal late in this football game. And you're right, he took advantage of all the situations, the turnovers, the block punt, really doing a great job of just managing the football game. And when we get to this next play, you're going to see kind of the things that Will Howard do throughout the game, and that was making really good decisions. He's an experienced football player, and throughout the season, he's done a great job of doing things like that. And the cool thing is, too, defensively, Texas doesn't do a ton because they have great athletes, right? And usually when they're better players around, you try to keep it a little bit more simple.
Right. Kansas State was not able to complete the drive in overtime, and that was, you can chalk it up any different way, but, it came down to the 3rd and 1. The spot was short.
Right.
And then it just kind of unraveled from there. But take us through this final play here in overtime.
Well, I got a quick question for you guys. Do you kick the field goal here and tie it and go to the next round of overtime, or do you go for it?
You go for it, baby.
I agree. You go for it. And you know what I love, too? They gave their best player, who on this day today was Will Howard, give him the ability to make something happen, right? In this situation, we're going to get a really simple concept. We're going to get a little out route and then a corner into the back corner of the end zone. So it's a simple high-low read. Now, in this situation, it's a gotta have it. So at the end of the day, all we care about is just give our guys an opportunity.
Yeah, give them a chance.
When we play this out right here, you're going to see right away, it's tight coverage. You're in the low red zone area. Of course it's going to be tight. I think the best decision for Howard here would have been just to give his receiver a one-on-one opportunity in the back corner, throw it in rhythm, and let him go run and get it with his speed. He hesitates. I'm not really sure why we're throwing it here at the line of scrimmage with that defender so tight to the line of scrimmage, but he decides to pull the football down. He's trying to make a play as best as he can, slips, and then he did the right thing of trying to throw it up to make a play. But in this situation, man, just rip it as hard as you can right into this lane right here.
He's looking that way. I mean, what's he see?
I think he thought he was going to get the flat right away. And Texas did a great job of covering the flat immediately. And in this situation, I think he predetermined just a little bit. So that's where just see big picture, right? Wide vision, and then take advantage of it. And right here, I would have said, hey, next time we have this opportunity, throw it as hard as you can into this lane and hope that our guy can go and make the play. And for whatever reason, he didn't pull the trigger. He tried to make a play, keep his feet alive. He slips, And at the really, hey, Texas, really good defense in a clutch situation. Not a huge fan of the play call, but still great execution by the Texas Longhorns, and they deserve to win this football game.
So that was into the film room with Matt Sims.
Yes, sir.
Texas able to keep their college football playoff hopes alive earlier today. There's a couple of other teams trying to play, at least to keep in the college football playoff hunt out in Los Angeles, and that one is getting underway right now.
We're all excited to watch the
taking his game to another level.
That was the kind of Heisman moment that the world is waiting for.
The spotlight is always surrounded by noise.
Welcome to the Penix Show.
For Michael Penix Jr. and the Huskies, possibilities on the horizon only intensify that.
What a throw. Washington takes the lead. My goodness.
We just got to make sure that we're not worried about the outside noise.
If you understand the simultaneous squeeze, praise, and punishment like Caleb Williams.
There's still something to play for. You keep fighting. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
The human joystick is like a magic trick. How do you stop that?
How do they combat that relentless racket? By doing what they've always done. Make their own noise.
Let's go, man.
The Coliseum is about to get loud.
Put on your seatbelt.
Well, they say the lights shine brighter out in Los Angeles, but have they been shining a little bit too bright on the USC Trojans, who have lost 2 of their last 3, nearly lost to Cal last week? We'll talk about some of the keys to this game, guys, but obviously all eyes are going to be on the quarterback matchups between these two, with Michael Penix Jr. and, of course, with the reigning Heisman Caleb Williams. But who do you give the edge to tonight, Scoob?
Well, I got to give the edge over to Michael Penix. I mean, I feel like that question is easy to answer when you look at what the USC defense has been doing in giving up points the last 5 games. The numbers are 49, 34, 48, 41, 41, and you put Michael Penix in this offense out there against this, you expect them to be able to put points up. So I think it'll be a shootout because Caleb Williams is going to come in this game fired up. We saw them have an amazing comeback last week against Cal, but I think the advantage definitely goes to Michael Penix Jr. He won't have Jerry McClain in this game with him. He's out with another injury, but he still has Rome Odunze as his weapon.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I feel like, the easy way to go in this situation, and, that's why I'm not doing it.
Hey,
that's why I'm not doing it.
All
right. I mean, USC, man, they've been playing a little bit better defensively, which means they're not giving up 60, so that's good. But they're doing a great job of just creating turnovers.
Yeah.
And right now, just Washington, not really buying it. I feel like they're losing a lot of their luster that we fell in love with the past few weeks.
Yeah.
They're not super efficient offensively. Defensively, they haven't really been doing a great job either. And, I expected them to crush a few of their opponents that they've played recently, and they've really struggled. So that's where I feel like USC is kind of prime in a position here to upset Washington.
Yeah, when I say Caleb Williams is really motivated, I was looking into some of the things that he was talking about this week. And after they lost their game and won last week, he was sitting on the couch and he said he had a call with Lincoln Riley and just kind of mulling about their season and the chances that they have. And Lincoln Riley said, "You've had a weird/special career. We've done so much crazy stuff together. So why not just add to the list and do something crazy?" They truly believe that they still have an opportunity to get into the CFP. Because if you beat Washington today, your Pac-12 championship hopes are still alive. And let's say USC wins out and they beat Oregon. They're going to be sitting there as a 2-loss team with really good record.
Yeah.
But I don't think, Sam, because we talked about this, that the committee is going to show them that type of love to get into the CFP.
And I don't want to see them in the college football playoff. I really don't. But I want to see them, cause havoc.
Yeah.
Right, for the college football playoff.
Ruin somebody's year.
And I think they're more than capable of doing that. This is not one of the best 4 teams in the country, but they're definitely one of those teams that on any given weekend has the ability with their quarterback to ruin one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Let's keep it with Caleb Williams here really quickly.
Yeah.
Prior to the season, he was the predetermined number 1 overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft. I think that was a consensus that a lot of people felt. Based on what we've seen so far, is he still the number 1 pick? If you're building an NFL franchise right now and you're the general manager, is this guy still on the top of your draft board?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, I talked earlier in this week on our call, right? And who did I say? I said I love Caleb Williams, but the one who has impressed me more than any other quarterback in the country this year is Bo Nix, number 1, and Jaden Daniels, number 2. Yeah. And I think those two guys, their stock has to be rising. Bo Nix, this is my problem with Caleb Williams, right? You see, I'm starting to sit up in the chair, so I'm getting all excited, right? He doesn't play within the confines of the play enough. Everything just seems to be kind of like, Madden, I'm going to run here, improvise, just make it up.
Yeah.
And I need to see a little bit more just like old school quarterback play from him. Good decision making, throwing in rhythm, avoiding taking big hits, avoiding risk taking so much too, really early in the football game, and making easy plays look easy more often. And that really just is something that he's gotten away with it throughout his career. And now I just want to see it more because that's one thing. At the NFL level, you can't do that kind of stuff all the time, right? These dudes are too good. So it's something that I want to see him develop a little bit more, whereas I see Bo Nix, his ability to do that, to process information and make decisions, to make the decision within the rhythm of the play and the design of the play, to me, is what gives him a tremendous advantage. And then Jaden Daniels, dude, come on.
Yeah, he's been hitting a lot of those intermediate
why is he
throws.
not? Why is he not the favorite in the Heisman right now for what he does? He literally is the heart and soul of that football. If he's not on that football team, LSU is a 500 team at best this year.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's going to be the thing about tonight, this game, Washington versus USC, there's going to be a lot of NFL eyes on it. Pete Thamel just tweeted about an hour ago that there's going to be 21 scouts from 15 teams, including GMs from the Broncos and the Giants. So if GMs and teams are wondering if Caleb Williams is a number 1 guy or if Michael Penix is a number 1 guy, this, that, and the third, they're going to get a good look at it tonight.
Let's flip the script a little bit and talk about Washington, too, because they, quite frankly, haven't looked like the same team they did when they played against Oregon. Now, they've had some illnesses. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. had some flu-like symptoms, I think, in the last game, and I think that's kind of run through the locker room. But from what we've been told, they're on the better end of that. What's been going on with Washington, Scoob? What have you seen from the last couple of weeks?
Defensively, what has been happening? The last 2 games, you give up 495 yards to Stanford, and then you give up 341 to Arizona State. Yeah. And then not only that, the ability to be able to run the ball is completely diminished. When you look at the numbers for those games, you had 13 yards rushing against Arizona State, and you had 91 against Stanford. As we know, you have to be more than one-dimensional if you're going to be a championship football team. One thing Oregon does really well is run and throw the ball well. But for Washington, they're relying so heavy on the pass that teams are starting to be able to sit back there and make them throw the ball in front. And Arizona did that early on in the season with Michael Penix Jr., and they haven't been having Journey McLean in the lineup as well. So that's a third receiver that is key towards their growth and their development in winning these games.
Yeah, there you see the conference chances to send a team to play up there. Again, that was coming into this weekend with a loss to Oklahoma State. I don't know if the Big 12 has that high of odds anymore.
That's going down.
I got to imagine that goes down. And potentially the Pac-12 goes up after that loss as well. All right, let's go ahead and pick some of the games here. And by the way, I am 3-1 the last 2 weeks. I don't want to brag.
You feeling good? You feeling good?
After an 0.
So why we put Matt's name ahead of mine? I'm still up.
You know damn well why my name is up there, all right?
This is a big week on the college football show to determine who will have the inside track.
And I love how we play it cool, like we don't care, but every time that we meet during the week to talk about the show, like Scoob's first day, like, aha, yeah, look at number 1.
Just peeling the curtain back for you. I will start us off. I'm going to take Washington in this game. I think they are coming off again. That those flu-like symptoms, I think those are out. I think, like you said, Scoob, that this defense for USC is about as porous as it gets, and I think Michael Penix Jr. will have a big game. So I'm taking Washington. Who you got?
I'm going with the dub, too, man. We rolling with that, too. The flu is out the window. Let's go ahead and get this win, Michael Penix.
No risk it, no biscuit. So I'm going with USC here. Why? I have no idea. All right.
You have no idea?
I don't trust Washington.
He wants a biscuit. All right.
That's why. And I want to win. And this is what I'm going to do. No, honestly, I don't trust Washington at all. I really don't. And I think they're a team that, like, they're not peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like they have flatlined. and USC is in that prime position to play a spoiler, and, they might think they're keeping their season hope alive for the college football playoff, but we know that's a lie. Yeah. All right, they're just playing spoiler, and it's good entertainment.
All right, so Maddie's the only one that goes with USC for this one, but as you all know, there's another huge game with playoff implications down there in Tuscaloosa. College Game Day was there earlier today. Let's go ahead and pick this one. I'm going to take LSU in this game.
Okay.
I think, like you said, Maddie, Jaden Daniels has been one of the best in the entire country. The question is going to be, can LSU get like 1 or 2 stops in this game? That's all you need. You need 1 or 2, and Jaden Daniels will take care of the rest. I think LSU is able to get 1 or 2 stops against Alabama here. Go ahead, Scoob.
Spot on, but you're not going in Alabama and beating my man Nick Saban. Roll Tide.
Okay, roll Tide.
Wait, you changed. Shh. That's cheating, Brian. That's cheating. Even Dan, the cameraman, doesn't agree with it. Okay. Now, hey, Alabama, bro. Best one-loss team in the country. Going with Alabama. Let's go. Roll Tide. I can't believe I just said that again.
It's time now for Holy Cow. Some of the best plays that we have seen this week in the college football world. Matt and Scoob, there were some really good plays. Only 5 can make them. We're going to rank them 1 through 100 to see how good exactly some of these plays are. But let's go ahead and get into some of the film. Up in the Carrier Dome.
All right.
Check this one out. Elijah Jones for Boston College steals this man's catch and his lunch money, literally pickpocketed him. One of the 4 interceptions for Syracuse in this game.
Nice little sleight of hand there. BC makes some plays.
Yeah, this was one of 2 similar plays we'll see later on in Holy Cow, but this one was pretty special, guys.
I mean, somebody's got to eat, right?
Yeah, somebody's got to eat, and it would actually be Elijah Jones from Boston College who was doing the eating. So I'm going to be giving this one a 90. I think that's solid.
We're off to a good start. We're off to a good start.
Absolutely. We're waiting to see what you do.
All right.
Scoob, you're up next.
Scoob's a tough critic.
This is a very similar play to the first one as well. Take a look at this, Scoob. Down in the swamp here, black jerseys for Florida.
Still confused about the jerseys.
Okay.
Ooh,
See, he really took his lunch money. The other one, it was more so like a transfer, like a bank account transfer. Over here, he said, "Sir, this is mine, and I will not give it back." And he took it to the crib. Now, that's a nice one.
Front tip, Rip. Look at that. It's like starting a lawnmower right there.
You know what?
What's the score, Scoob? What do we got?
You gave yours a 90. This one was a couple of points better, so let's go with a 92.
All right, 92.
Yes! That a boy, Scoob!
One up in the, I get it. I see how it is.
That was such an old school high five right there. You saw that? Yeah, that was so corny. It was cool. Yeah.
Matt Sims is up next here. And Matty, we got a blocked field goal here with Arkansas State. Take a look at it.
Thank you for cueing me, because I totally forgot what my play was. I've been on radio for like 7 hours in a row. But man, this was an unbelievable play by Texas A&M, and they needed it. Jacoby Matthews showing off the speed and athleticism with the scoop and score. Look at this again. Tip in the air, tips it over those. You got to get those, even when it's on a field goal. Look at the deuce in the white jersey, too. That is a clean look right there.
I get that.
What are you going with here, Matt?
Hey, come on. Special teams touchdown right there. Yeah. It's a hundo. It's no doubt. No doubt.
Respect.
Special teams. Hey, special things. You get 100.
That was a 10-point swing in the game right there. Yeah. Huge play on the block kick for the TD.
Keep it in the same game here. This is a back-and-forth game.
It was.
The entire game. This may be the catch of the year, guys. We talk about impact transfers. Look at Trey Harris. Go get it. Go and get it. One-handed catch by the sideline. He's able to bring it down and reel it in.
And he keeps it out there in the same hand, too. It's always tough when you make a one-handed grab and you don't transfer it to the other hand.
That's silly.
Wow, that was crazy.
He's looking a lot like OBJ right there.
He did.
That's a little OBJ-esque for Trey Harris.
I still got the stink face from that catch. Like,
wow, full extension.
I'm going to follow yours up, Maddie. I'm going to give that 100. I don't think there's any other score that you can give that.
Back-to-back hundreds?
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen it. This is a good week of college
It's a good
football.
week. We're feeling good.
Feeling good.
We're feeling good. Maybe a little crazy, but feeling good.
Special, man.
Last but certainly not least, Scoob.
Okay, all right. I hope
this was
something. Triple hundreds?
Look at Sam Houston, 0-8 on the year down there in Conference USA, but the catch there would help them get to 1-8, Scoob.
Oh, so we're talking about a big catch with the skill and a big catch because of the moment.
Yes.
But it wasn't as sexy as that one-handed grab.
No,
that
it's tough to follow up the Trey Harris.
You know what I mean?
You know?
So I got to do it, guys. It's going to be a little 8-3.
Is that one of the lowest scores we've seen?
It was.
But actually, I don't know. I think he gave someone like a 70 one time.
Okay,
So
all right.
for Scoob, that's actually pretty good.
I'll tell you, we'll round up. We'll give it a B. We'll go with a B there. College football never ceases to amaze, especially with some of the pettiness that we see around college football.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our next segment, which is called Bruh. Oftentimes you guys are watching at home just like us, and you're sitting there and you're like, bruh, what are you doing?
Why the hand on the hip, bro? Yeah, I mean, bro, pop the hip a little more.
So, this was one of the ones in Toledo. This was insane. After a score, they have a tradition that somebody gets dunked in the dunk tank. It was a cold Halloween night, Tuesday night, guys.
Snowing?
I'm talking about snow flurries. You're looking at like 30 degrees, but hey, I mean, bro, you got to stick to the tradition, right?
Bruh, you ain't paying me for that, all right?
You saw the face, too. He was like immediately regretting that.
If you have never been to Lubbock, Texas, let me just say that it is an experience. And this possum had an experience on the field, and he's getting dragged off, clearly not happy about it.
A possum on the field, and how do you just have that pole in handy? Shout out to them.
I got to get something off my chest, guys. The way that UConn played today against Tennessee, look, I don't expect them to win, but as a lifelong UConn fan,
is that?
There is nobody within 40 yards of my man there. What are we doing? There was a safety in this game. It was just a disaster. And for a UConn team and Jim Mora that went to a bowl last year, not so much this year. This is something that is the definition of bruh.
Oh! Ric Flair.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. Shamar Turner was ejected after this play.
I feel like this is a finishing move in Mortal Kombat right here. Flawless victory. Fatality. Yeah, not cool. Not acceptable, though.
No, those are some pretty good holy cows and bros right there. But Week 10 provided for us. It provided.
College football always provides, and thank you again, because it just reminded us again, we don't know anything about anything, but we're going to pretend like we do for a little longer, all right?
I got nothing else to say. All right, a battle for second place in the ACC earlier today. Louisville hosting Virginia Tech. Hard to believe Virginia Tech's in this position. Halfway through the first quarter, no score. Louisville inside the 5, and Jawar Jordan, who has been excellent for the Cards this year, drives it in. Louisville leads 7-0. They were not done. Isaac Garendo takes it 39 yards to the house. Louisville leading it 14-3 at the half. Third quarter, same score. And Jack Plummer finding Jaden Thompson, who takes it 37 yards to the crib for the touchdown. And Louisville continues to extend. And, well, it was just all Louisville. All day, it was all Louisville. And they would go on to win it 34-3. So now the Cardinals looking like they could have a meeting with Florida State.
Second place in the ACC. So if they want to be able to meet with Florida State, it's going to need Florida State to win this game against Pitt, right?
No doubt.
Let's check it out. Florida State visiting Pitt. We'll start this game up in the second quarter. No score. Kind of a slow start for FSU in this one. No Keon Coleman. No Wilson. And
no reasons why. Here.
Pastor Bub Means
didn't want to play.
For a 9-yard touchdown, Pitt leads 7-0. They score first in this, and you thought they were in trouble. So Florida State now with the ball. Jordan Travis runs it in for the 1-yard touchdown. This was after he threw a dime to his wide receiver. Travis started to take over in this game late. Third quarter, Florida State up 17-7. Trey Benson takes the handoff, and they needed him to go to work too. And yes, sir, he does. 55 yards. Peace out. They're up 24-7, and they go on to win it.
All the great running
backs.
backs.
Same score. I mentioned Jordan Travis, 22 for 36, 360, 2 touchdowns on the day. Did not turn it over. They needed him to step up, and he did without his 2 top wide receivers.
Florida State has not run the ball great this year, but it was good to see Trey Benson get the game going. And, Florida State, one of the teams that has college football playoff implications, which then leads us to our college football playoff conversation. It's time now for AT&T countdown to the College Football National Championship. And, the College Football Playoff Committee came to the conclusion that it would be Ohio State and not Georgia as the number 1 ranked team in the first release of the CFP rankings. The Buckeyes trailed at the half to Rutgers, but they were able to come back and cover in this game, surprisingly. But I'm curious what you guys' thoughts were at the first college football playoff rankings release. Scoob, what were your kind of initial takeaways?
We don't know what the formula is with the committee because there's so many contradicting things when it comes down to it. They talked about Ohio State and their strength of schedule and the wins that they've gotten, but then you look at number 2 and number 3 with Georgia and Michigan. They hadn't really showed us any big wins that shows them that they deserve to be in that spot. And I only say that because of number 4, Florida State. They had 2 top 25 wins, but we saw what Georgia did today. Great win against Missouri. That is probably the biggest win that they've had all season, Matt.
So you're seeing, this is the college football playoffs initial rankings that were released on Halloween. They will release another set of rankings coming up this Tuesday. But you make a good point, Maddie. Like, what are the criteria that the committee is looking at? And I mean, let me ask you this instead. What would your criteria be if you were in that room ranking the teams? Like, do you value strength of schedule? It can't mean everything, just like head-to-head can't mean everything.
Yeah, I mean, head-to-head's important. Strength of schedule is important, too. But I really would rely heavily on just the eye test. Right?
Really?
And how I value the way that teams look, the way that they're coached, the way that they are in situational football as well. So I would think more so I would stay away from the stats. I would stay away from like, oh, well, this team ranks this and this and blah. Like, I would just go off of how I view them each and every week. And that's why Ohio State, good football team, good defense. There is no way they're the number 1 team in the country. That's crazy. They absolutely should not be number 1. Michigan, I know they've been doing maybe some questionable things that are borderline illegal, but they are the best team in the country. I know. I don't want to get into it too much. But Michigan's number 1.
Yeah.
Georgia is the number 2 team in the nation. And number 3, probably going to put like a Florida State, right, in that situation.
Okay.
And now I know you put Ohio State in just because they are undefeated currently, but I know that Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to cancel each other out. So I'm not really worried about them being in the top 4, but I just know that one of them will not be there at the end. I think Oregon really is probably the 4th best team in the country.
If it wasn't for that loss against Washington,
which drives me nuts.
They're really the best team in the country with the way that they've been playing. I mean, right now, they're crushing.
Like, is Oregon a better team than Florida State? I would say yes,
so.
They probably are. They're probably a better balanced team than Florida State. They're more consistent. I know that for sure, despite their loss. So that's where, even here, look at me talking in circles, right? And that's what the college football committee's doing,
That's the beauty of it, though. That's the beauty of it.
That is what's good about this. And that's why we need to make the bracket bigger.
By the way, Oregon beating up on Cal right now. I think it's 35-19 there.
Yeah.
All right, there were a lot of impressive wins today with college football playoff implications, right? We saw Texas. They were able to hold on, keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Oklahoma State, I mean, who knows what happens in the Big 12. But I don't think that you can have a more impressive win than Georgia and what they were able to do today against Missouri, right? I mean, that's probably the best win of the day when you look at it, Scoop.
Yeah, we knew coming into this game that if Georgia can walk out with it, then they have the best win of the day, because what everyone's been saying is Georgia doesn't have any good wins. They've been beating up on these bad teams. Not even really. I mean, sometimes they just haven't looked good against some of these bad teams.
Yeah.
But now, the back end of your schedule, you have the toughest schedule to finish out the season in FBS, and you get a 9-point win against Missouri and against a team that you struggled to beat last year as well. So shout out to Georgia for the win today, because they looked like them dogs.
Of the games the rest of the night, and there's really 2 that have huge playoff implications with LSU, Alabama, and Washington, USC. Maddie, which game has the biggest college football playoff implications of the 2, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's LSU and Alabama. It has to be, I feel like, because Alabama, to me, really is probably one of those could be top 4 teams in the country.
Right.
To me, other than Oregon, they're the 2nd best one-loss team in the country. And that's where I want to see them right now display their defense, their balance on offense. The running game is getting better. Their pass protecting a little bit better, despite the fact that they get up a few sacks. Some of those are Jalen Milroe's responsibility. but I still believe that Alabama is one of the better football teams in the country, and this is going to be a great night to prove it. They're going to shut down this LSU offense and Jaden Daniels more so than any other team has in the country so far.
Caleb Downs, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, those two players on
And
that
Caleb's a
Alabama.
freshman.
Yeah,
Is that crazy?
We saw Nick Saban on College Game Day earlier this morning, just talking about the football IQ that Caleb Downs has. A freshman. I mean, it makes no sense that he's this good right now. So this game against LSU is essentially an elimination game. I mean, whoever loses this game, you're gone and you're out. But it makes it really interesting that if Alabama is able to win out as a team who goes against Georgia in the SEC championship, I think they can make some noise.
Here's just a hypothetical quick before we move on. Let's say everything goes chalk the rest of the night. Let's say Washington wins. Let's say Alabama wins.
Yeah.
Do you think that the committee changes anything from based on what we saw today, and if the two games tonight go chalk? Or do we see the same rankings as we did?
Yeah, I'd be shocked, honestly, if Ohio State stays at the one position the way that they look today versus
Okay.
Rutgers. Now,
So that's enough to move them.
Rutgers is a good football team, right?
They played Michigan well.
Very well.
Yeah,
very well. They got a legit defense. Like, it's a top 10 defense in the country. They know how to stop offenses for sure. Greg Schiano, that's his specialty. He did better defensively than anyone else has at stopping Marvin Harrison this season.
Okay.
With 4 catches, 25 yards. So that's crazy.
Right.
So I see them moving.
Okay, fair
Sorry
enough.
to go long.
No, please. Biggest game next week, too. There's a lot of big ones. You look at Ole Miss coming to town to take on Georgia. College Game Day is going to be there. Utah-Washington is another huge one with potential playoff implications if Washington's able to win and stay undefeated. Again, they're on the outside looking in right now.
Right.
USC and Oregon, that's another interesting one up there in Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State. The biggest out of those four, Scoob, what do you think?
Ole Miss, Georgia, man. Ole Miss, Georgia is going to be a huge game because it's just going to add towards Georgia's resume.
And really, Ole Miss is the best offense that probably Georgia will see all season. But that was really impressive what Georgia did against Missouri today, right? Which is probably going to be the second best offense that they've seen this entire season. The other game, though, that it's all about Oregon, really. So, again, I value them as one of the better teams in the country, and just the way that they perform is going to be really important, especially against these ranked teams late in the year.
All right, so that was the AT&T countdown to the college football national championship, and the rankings, again, going to be released on ESPN every Tuesday night, so it will speed up with another round of rankings released next week. Again, we talked about it. Big one out there in Los Angeles. USC with an early 7-0 lead still in the first quarter.
Oh, you feeling good? You feeling good, Matt? Oh,
Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis.
Little 5 for 5.
Raleek Brown got in for the 2-yard touchdown. Right down the field.
So Washington's going to get the ball. What was the over/under on this game, Scoob?
It was the highest. it was the highest of every single game this season. I think the over/under was about 70-something, 76. Let's take a look at the touchdown from Raleek Brown. This was after they were able to drive down the field from about 2 yards out. They started from the 25. And
Wow.
Ooh.
Simple.
That was
simple
easy.
there.
Yeah.
That's a touchdown dance that everyone's been doing this season. And for everyone that doesn't know, it's a TikTok thing.
I've seen Sam do that touchdown
Yes,
dance.
I have a great guess. That's right.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey.
So, look, when you look at this Washington and this USC game, we talked about some of the keys for both the teams as well. USC is one of the worst tackling teams in the country. That's been well documented.
Damn.
Washington, well, I mean, let's be
right.
fair.
You're not lying.
Washington also has struggled on defense as well. So were you taking the over today? You put any shekels on this game, Scoob, or no?
I did not throw any shekels. I wanted to stay away from this
for
game.
you. Good for you.
No scratch in the game?
Hey, I hit a lot today, though. Let me just say,
Did you?
Your boy's undefeated in them shekel games.
What
But
was one of your big games today that you won in?
the biggest one was the over for the Ole Miss game. Hit that one. Felt good about it.
Okay, good. That was a good one.
But for this one, 70-something as the over/under. I don't know if they're going to get there, but first to 70 wins, right?
70 is a ridiculous.
That is crazy, but it's possible.
Yeah,
like you said, with these defenses, it absolutely is.
All right, so we got
Kansas,
game.
Iowa State, I believe. Yeah, and again, Kansas coming off the big win over Oklahoma last week.
Devin Neal. Man.
In for the touchdown there, Devin Neal with a 6-yard run. Good drive for Kansas to open it up.
You know what the theme of the day is?
Running backs.
There's a lot of really good running backs in the
that's a
country.
good point.
It's crazy.
That's a good point.
And you know what? That's why the NFL isn't paying their running backs, because there's just more running backs every year that are unbelievable football players, and they all play the game a little differently. But man, I mean, that was what I noticed today during the radio show. That every game, phenomenal running backs that we were watching on every team.
Clemson, Notre Dame was great.
Unbelievable.
That was the Phil
I mean,
Maffa show.
dude, that was unbelievable. His performance, Audric Esme, we already know how fantastic he is. Judkins with Ole Miss.
Jonathan Brooks.
I mean, Jonathan Brooks. C.J. Baxter was only a freshman.
Yes.
So just so many good. And we've always, Bucky Irving, our boy Bucky over there, Oregon, one of our favorite players too. So it's really cool. Schrader too with Missouri.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, so the running back position in a good place in college football.
No question about it. Thanks so much for joining us for a power hour of college football highlights and analysis. For Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I'm Sam Ravech. We'll make sure to tune back in next week for Week 11, which is sure to be great. Thanks again for watching the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G.
Peace.